Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parnell has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, J.M., and Paul G.
Morning.
Preiet, Comrade.
Lake Forest Tin Man says Merry Christmas, Pete.
Oh, capitalist Tin Man. Made by good Russian workers.
Soviet.
How about those dolls where one doll turns into another doll? And
I don't know what that is. My camera just zoomed in on me. That was weird.
Zoom has a new feature where it does that.
I wanted to show my Lake Forest vest.
I can totally see it.
Lake Forest mug. Yeah, get some Bear stuff before they lose to the Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get on that bandwagon soon.
Well, let's wait till they play Green Bay. Because, I mean, look, I'm a Bears fan, but
no, I'm
still wondering if Green Bay is a better team, but I don't know.
I think Ben Johnson is a good coach, motivator.
Yeah, definitely.
Took the shirt off for the Wieners.
Well, I'm glad that wasn't Andy Reid. Ooh.
Hey, you get 9 wins, you could be Pete Jansons. Take your shirt off. You get free wiener.
We'll pass on that. Thank you. But look, Tin Man. See, his mouth opens there.
It's a nutcracker, isn't it?
Yeah, nutcracker. That's right. I'm getting my characters mixed up. You're right. It's nutcracker.
I can see.
So I will not use this to crack any actual nuts.
No, that's a very small nutcracker.
Yeah.
That would sell well in Lake Forest.
Oh, I knew you were going to do some crude joke. I thought you were going to go a different direction, but that's
no.
fine.
I'm just.
Here, we'll put the nutcracker back here for the rest of the show.
I'm just making a comment to the size of the
and
text.
The camera moved. Wow, this is like being in a TV studio now.
It is. And I think when you look at the size of the testicles in Lake Forest, you'll see that nutcracker is appropriately sized. We'll edit that out.
Okay, so
Comrade. So how was the tree lighting?
Cold,
pretty windy, wasn't it?
Cold, windy, but there was still well attended. I must say it was very well attended, and
Oh, I
A
thought
good
I
time
saw a
was.
note. I thought I saw a note that it was not attended as it has been in the past.
That could be, though I was right up. I worked my way up to the front so I could get a good view, and the front area was as packed as it normally is. Now, maybe the
Now you took a
outer
video. I'm going to
areas.
put your video right here.
And I'm with the Friends of Lake Forest Parks and Rec Foundation. For those of you that just arrived after that Chicago Bears win today, huh? How about that? Could this be the year? Dare we say it? Come on. So anyway, again, I want to thank our sponsors. The City of Lake Forest, Fields Auto Group, Dan Fields, thank you very much. He's a resident here in town. If you're looking for a car, Dan's got one. He sells about every brand under the sun. Lake Forest Bank and Trust, Chris Baker, if you're out here, thank you very much for all the support you've given us for the years, as well as many other folks within the city. While we were all having a good time today, there was about 60 city employees here all setting up for this. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much to the city. This is a great year. A lot of people tell me this is kind of like a little Hallmark moment, so I think it fits the bill, right? So thank you again for coming out. Have a great holiday season. And I'm going to turn it over now to the Mayor of Lake Forest, Dr. Randy Tack.
Thank you, and I want you all to give a big thanks to Rick. This may be his last year doing this. He's been doing it for a few years, so let's give him a big round of applause for all of that. Really awesome guy. Let's start this way. Let's welcome to the 41st annual tree lighting ceremony. We're going to start with a group of thank yous to Friends of Lake Forest Parks and Rec Foundation for presenting the event, and Lake Forest Bank and Trust for their generous sponsorship, and the cookies as well. We're also grateful to several community partners who make this celebration so special. Sage Explorers for the crafts, the Compass Group for donuts, Rosati's for pizza, Rotary Club and Left Bank for the hot dogs, Starbucks for coffee, Deer Path Inn hot chocolate, and the Gray family for donating this incredible, beautiful Norway spruce. By the way, they're bringing the tree next year too. A big thank you to Fields BMW in the Waukegan for their sponsorship, and to Carl DiTomaso for transporting the tree. Tonight's entertainment showcases local talents. Lake Forest High School Choir, led by Director Matthew Pagali. Sorry about that, Matthew. I pronounced it wrong for the second year in a row. Lake Forest Civic Orchestra and Lake Forest High School Brass Ensemble. The Lake Forest Dance Academy, led by Director Haley Bardwaj. As we heard in the holiday season, I want to highlight a few ways you can support our community. Beginning next Thursday, December 4th, please stop by the Think Local pop-up shop at City Hall to find gifts that give back and support nonprofit organizations. The Chamber of Commerce has asked us to announce that tomorrow's Cocoa Crawl has been canceled due to the weather forecast. Remember to shop local tomorrow for Small Business Saturday and throughout the season. At this time, I'd like to introduce a very, very, very special guest. We are honored to welcome Phil Heart for Kids Director Andy McAvaney to officially pull the switch. She is located right here in Market Square. For those of you who don't know, Phil Heart for Kids provides care packages, essential supplies, and life skills support and educational resources to homeless and foster children. Thank you for your dedication and service to the Lake Forest community. And it is just about 5:15, and as most of you know, I don't do things late. So, at this time, I would like to do the countdown. Let's start at 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh! Have a great Christmas and holiday season.
Okay.
Okay, the video just ran. What did the video show, Joe?
Well, the video showed, of course, Mayor Tack is the first one to say, hey, run things on time. So but a nice. I didn't know that. It sounds like Rick Amos. Maybe this may be his last tree lighting as the head of the foundation. Um,
Did that come up or what?
well, so I think the mayor mentioned that after he was introduced by Rick Amos,
Ah,
but
so that's on the video.
that's on the video. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. But that's a thankless job. Um, so I hats off to him on that. And
Actually, it's thankful if you stop losing money.
uh, I mean, look, any way you do that job, you're not really getting. I mean, you're getting personal satisfaction out of it, but there's no compensation or anything. So, um,
No, but there is. I'm not saying in this case, but there is ego involved. There are perks in that. Uh, to put acts in that ego wise would work, but monetarily it wouldn't work. Comrade?
I know. What was the thing Reagan used to say to Gorbachev?
Doreve
No
no
private.
provie.
Yeah, which trust but verify.
Doreve no provie. Get your Russian down. We got to get it right for this. Morgan Coghill.
He did spend time in Russia, it sounds like. So,
Masters in Russian. Selling plywood.
well, they need a lot of plywood in Russia. So,
Well, I'm going to tell him when he comes on. I don't think anybody wants to hear 1 hour of capitalism versus socialism. I'm going to try to pick apart a couple things. There he comes. I'm going to try to find common ground, because that's what we're all about here in the Lake Forest podcast. Mr. Coghill, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Preiet,
How are
comrade.
you?
Morgan
Preiet.
Coghill.
hi, Morgan.
Did I say that right, Morgan? Preiet?
You did. You did. Preiet.
Preiet, yes.
You read up on me.
Well, masters in Russian, if I'm gonna put you up against Schneider to run. Before we get into it, Morgan, before I butcher up your background, why don't you give us your background real quick, and then we'll get into the terms of the podcast, and if you agree to them, we will continue.
Sure.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Sure.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born in D.C., lived there till 8 or 9, and then my family, we moved to Maine, grew up there, and spent all my formative years in the backwoods of Maine, where we grew up pretty poor. We're on food stamps, free lunches, things like that. I got an opportunity to go to, I believe you're an educator, right?
I'm an educator.
You guys are big in
yes.
education.
I'm going to try to educate people
So
on Morgan Coghill.
So you've heard of the Illinois Academy of Math, Science, and Humanities. I might have butchered that, right?
Out of
In
Aurora?
Naperville, the charter school.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's in Aurora.
Around that area.
Well, I went to the state of Maine version of that for high school, which had just opened, and that gave me quite a leg up, getting into college because we couldn't pay for it. So I took out quite a few student loans, which I just paid off last year. I went to Beloit College for undergrad, where I studied anthropology and Russian. I had a dream of being Indiana Jones, and the person upon whom Indiana Jones was based was a professor at Beloit College and has his own little museum there. I graduated there in 2001. I went on to grad school at a combined program between Middlebury College and a Russian university, the Russian State University for the Humanities. And I wrote my master's thesis on Russian censorship and propaganda, and I wrote it in Russian. So after that, I was working for a contractor for USAID, first in Russia, until Putin threw our organization out, and then I went to Ukraine and did the same thing there. And that's when the Russians tried to steal the Ukrainian elections the first time. Some of us might be old enough to remember it was called the Orange Revolution at that point.
Joe is.
In 2004. That was 2004.
So Morgan, you're trying to run against Brad Schneider, right? Illinois 10th Congress.
Yes, I am. I am running against
and just you're running in the Democratic primary against Brad Schneider, who is the incumbent Democrat, right?
I am.
Okay. Now, Morgan, we're gonna put a couple things together here because I don't want you to be blindsided here. The show leans conservative. I for sure am conservative. Joe calls me a rhino. I call him a rhino. Jeff Urso owns a small business, so he won't commit. So
I always say I'm not a blood or a crip. I don't care.
Okay. So that's kind of where we're coming from. And we've had Brad Schneider on the show, Congressman Brad Schneider, hopefully for not too much longer, but my tax dollars, I want them to be concentrated in the 10th district, not outside of the 10th district is my beef with him. And I want to treat this hour where we could spend the whole hour debating socialism versus capitalism. I don't think anybody would get anywhere and we lose all the viewers and listeners. But what I think is maybe we can agree on a couple things that we could talk out and spend the show on that. The premise of the show is we're showing up in a bar. It's Duffers, it's Lantern, it's Chiefs. We're sitting down and this is what I heard. Okay. The only fact checker is the bartender behind the bar, and they're just making sure the facts are, bourbon versus scotch. Okay. So I think the two things that I think we could agree on is the Second Amendment, taking the guns away, we bring up the school shootings. I think if we focus on the fact that Illinois had 30-something thousand mental health beds in 1970, and today we only got about 1,400. Maybe the increase on mental health could be there to get rid of the intent or deal with the intent versus the medium of choice. That's the first thing. The second thing is school choice, vouchers, whatever you want to call it, where a mom in Waukegan can say, you know what, I want my kid to go to Lake Forest High School. That's going to get me a lot of friends. Those are the couple issues that I think that we could talk about. Morgan, do you have anything else you want to add to it? Because I don't think we want to go back and forth. Your beliefs are wrong. My beliefs are wrong. That's not going to get us anywhere, and we won't know anything about you.
No, I think those are fair enough. So are you for vouchers or against them?
I'm for competition. I'm for merit. I'm for if somebody performs better, I think they should get the rewards for it.
Well, I think people should be able to write off like Catholic school and private school as a tax deductible thing against their property taxes, at least a piece of it.
So school choice, right? Joe, am I saying the right terms?
You compared two public schools initially. I think it would be appropriate is if someone wanted to go to St. Mary's in Lake Forest or Carmel Catholic or something, and they're
get the cash equivalent, whatever it is.
Well, maybe not the full thing, but if they're paying property taxes, if they're paying 10 G's in property taxes,
it won't be 100%, but whatever we want
to get to go pay 14 G's for education. And then the whole thing on the schools is the cost per student to educate. Well, if there's one less student, maybe that's a savings to the school, right? So there should be some kind of credit back for that family to have a choice to use, whether I'm using Catholic schools because I'm obviously Catholic.
Just say private. Just say private.
Whatever school choice you guys want to say. But I think that would be something in Illinois that would make a lot of sense.
I agree with Jeff, but Morgan, you're the candidate and you're the guest. So why don't we let Morgan What's the what
Well, let
should
me,
be, since you're running for federal office, Morgan, you're running for congressman,
yeah.
member of Congress. Um,
Mhm.
what should be the federal role in education? Because that's being debated. I mean, when Trump got sworn in, one of the first things he tried to do was get rid of the U.S. Department of Education, saying it's not a federal role; it should be state and local. What's your take?
Well, the U.S. Department of Education, it's kind of a misnomer. It's more of the U.S. Department of Funding Education. In terms of local, curricula, there are some pretty general, broad things. All right, you got to take what, 3 years of English, 4 years of math in high school to graduate, etc. But all of those standards are made locally. And let us not forget that most, I mean, where we are is, let's be honest, it's a pretty rich area now by U.S. standards. But there are entire states that are entirely dependent on the U.S. Department of Education for their funding. So getting rid of it, no, that doesn't seem to be the way to go. Where I grew up, something like 60% of the budget was, the local property tax base wasn't big enough to support it. So there was a lot of federal help. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had a school.
Can you help? Can you help the people that aren't as
So
smart
in
as
terms,
you? Hold on, Morgan. Can you help out the people that aren't as smart as you or Joe Weiss? Why did we have the Department of Education? My notes say Jimmy Carter wanted to pay off the unions in '79. Is that why we put the Department of Education there? Why was it put in there in 1979? Anybody know?
honestly, I do not know why.
Well,
I can't
the
speak to
case that
the origins, but the way it,
Go ahead, Joe.
no, I was just going to say to Morgan, the case that people like Donald Trump, and it goes back to Ronald Reagan, so it wasn't just Trump, but the last few Republican presidents. Up and we had, as Pete said, we created a Department of Education, a federal Department of Education in the Carter era, late 70s. But then in the 60s, I think it was Lyndon Johnson created the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, that later became HHS, and education split off into its own. But before the 1960s, there was zero federal agencies dealing with education. It just started under LBJ in the 60s. So the argument is, hey, America was fine from 1776 until the 1960s without a federal Department of Education. Why do we need one today? That's the argument against. Now, the argument, I think you made a very good point, that a lot of states and local school districts have become dependent on federal funding for education. And if that department were to go away, the question would be, would the funding continue for that? So if you're elected to Congress and there's a vote on a budget like President Trump had to downsize education, I'm going to guess, you tell me if I'm wrong, you're going to vote against that.
absolutely. We should
Okay.
not be downsizing education at all. We should be investing more.
But do you think the control should remain in the local community with local school boards, or should there be a national set of standards?
I think there should be overall standards. It's like, yeah, you got to be able to read. They should be doing math at a certain level. There are certain things that I would add to standards, but and in reality, in Northeast Illinois, this isn't really an issue. Where I get more concerned is you got school districts, especially in Texas, they're only going to school 4 days a week because of funding shortfalls, and you're going to have kids who are learning questionable things in science classes who want to be doctors. Do they have to have if someone going to one of those schools wants to go to the University of Illinois in pre-med, do they have to take an extra class, an extra test? So I'm for sort of overall framework standards, but a lot of that should be decided on the local level. My first high school, there was a large ag component as electives, and because a lot of these kids were kids of farmers, or or there was also lumber and timber, because Maine is a big logging state, and that's where a lot of kids were going after school. I was like the bookie, nerdy school kid. I also played sports, but there were a lot of kids who's, they grew up on a farm, they're driving a tractor by the age of 13, and there were some certain educational components attached to that. Is that going to work in Lake Forest or Mundelein? Probably not. So, no, I'm not for complete overarching control, but there should be some minimum standards.
I think, Pete, can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead, go.
One thing I hate, I have a 19, almost 20-year-old. They do this one size fits all. And I don't know who does it, whether it's local or federal or whatever. And it's like, hey, we just said, we want everyone to have English, math, and science. And we're training a country of middle management, right? Like, where's the plumbers? Where are the carpenters? Where's we need to invest more. Like, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. If someone said, hey, after 8th grade in high school, we're going to invest more in trades. We're going to have an elite force of people that are well-trained tradesmen. It could go back to your fireman discussion a few weeks ago, boys. Like, we need to invest in that. We need quality trades in high school, but some of these kids are checked out. I mean, that's the whole thing. They're juniors in high school. You're giving them a periodic table. They don't care. They're waiting to get on that tractor and go cut some lumber. I mean, but let's train these guys in else to be great tradespeople and have high paying jobs.
And these kids are told, like you said, in 8th grade, it's like, all right, their English scores suck. And it's like, well, you're not very bright. But, they can look at a field and tell you if it's level, and for too long, my generation included, it was, you got to go to college. You got to go to college, you got to go to college. It used to be people who were, they'd work in a trade or they were farmers, they'd go home and read Shakespeare. That doesn't happen anymore because these kids are told you're not bright enough to do this, which is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I'll give you a small example. I finished grad school, and then I was working on 6-month contracts, and for a while I was, living on my parents' couch. And my dad was a car salesman. And he said, "Look, we got some odd jobs around the dealership, parking cars, doing paperwork, just scut work." So I said, "Sure, I'll pick up a few hours while I'm searching for, a real job." So I show up. I'm 24. I'm literally just parking cars. And there are 19 and 20-year-olds who were, and this is the Volvo dealership, they're working on the highest end electronics on these cars. They went, they had a knack for it. They went to, say UTI for 6 months. They're doing continual education through Volvo North America. And these kids have a house and they have no debt. They're 4 years younger than me. And I'm thinking, what on earth did I do? Why did I go into all of this debt? And, I'm like grabbing coffee, these guys. And they're, buying houses with cash at age 22. So that gave me another perspective on, the false dichotomy between college educated and non-college educated. Educated is educated. And I'm one of those people who can appreciate genius when I see it, even if it's something that I don't know how to do. So education should be all consuming. I really hate when they poll people. They're like, are they college educated or non-college educated? That's nonsense.
Morgan,
that shouldn't be the dichotomy.
Morgan, should the money go to the parents or parent, or should it go to the school, is my question on the vouchers. Should the parents be able to pick where they want to send their kid to school?
No, I don't think Catholic schools should be getting vouchers.
Private.
I don't think they should be eligible for it. That one I'm more agnostic on, but religious institutions should not.
Okay.
That's my
let's
opinion.
just say private school. Should a parent have, instead of the government giving the money to the unions and the teachers, they give it to the parents, and then the parents use that money to pick the school they want to go to. Are you for or against that?
I'm against it.
Okay.
It should go to the school. If they want to go to the school, for several reasons. One, you give it to parents, they're using it for, and you want to send them to a Catholic school, fine. But
It's private.
do you have the same argument if they want to send these? Okay, private school, private non-religious school. Is that where we're?
Yeah.
Is that what we're settling on?
Why don't we come up with an acronym?
Okay.
Then we'll be really in the know. Continue, Morgan.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of acronym. I couldn't quite think of one. So, next question: private schools, in terms of the standards that are private schools held to the same education standards as the public schools?
Everyone I know that goes to private schools.
Because if you're using
So,
well, what's the
I've seen a few
differentiation?
pretty terrible private schools.
Well, Lake Forest Country Day, for instance, right? That's a non-religious private school. I think it's cost 25, 30.
Which one?
Lake Forest Country Day on an elementary side. You can use Lake Forest Academy in a high school
Oh,
level.
yeah. Okay.
So like these are $30,000
Mhm.
institutions, right? I mean, so non-religious. Pretty much everyone I know that's ever been there is, one, comes from money, and two, it's like, they're getting a high level of education, and that's why they're going there. So I don't know of a private institution, at least in the North Shore, that's less of a quality than a public. I think public school has a lot more resources for a lot of things. So kids with ADHD, kids that have any kind of issue, kids that want to really excel in a specific thing, the resources are very large. Athletics, obviously, are really great for public schools, but public schools, I think, zero in on a lot of college preparatory, if you will. So the kids that go to private schools are on a mission to go to college. So, which makes sense. And they're trying to get into the best college they can.
So Morgan, I asked the question, you answered it. We'll move on to the second one, and then Joe's going to come up with we're going to kind of focus on how you're different from Brad Schneider, the differentiation on that. But the second thing, Second Amendment versus intent versus mental health. Do you have thoughts for that? Are you going to take away my guns, Morgan, or can you help work on the mental health issues we have in the 10th district?
No, I'm not going to take away anybody's guns. But at the same time, I might buy them from you.
Wait, what?
Talking about government buybacks of guns.
And I'm talking like outrageously expensive government buybacks. I'm talking if you paid $500 for a piece, we'll pay you $2,500 to sell it back.
Morgan, one of the debates going on in the gun thing is, do you think there should be a ban of automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapons?
Yes.
Okay.
And semi-automatic kind of a misnomer.
See, we're getting in that weeds of the semi-automatic and tricking out the guns. I want to know about the intent. What are we going to do? Are we going to ban knives? Are we going to ban, extension cords so we can't strangle anybody? The intent and mental health, the 30,000 beds that existed in
I'd love to ban extension cords because my house is full of them. So I'd love to ban extension cords, but it's a legitimate question. What are we going to ban?
Yeah.
We had the assault weapons ban. It expired. Shootings have gone up. No, we're not going to ban knives. We're not going to ban extension cords.
What about handguns?
Because to this is we have 300. I think that there needs to be better rules on handguns. Universal background checks is one. I think that if your gun is taken because you didn't have it secured properly, and kid kills himself or his friend, you should be liable for that. I think there should be better training. I grew up around guns. Everybody had one, and they were treated as, a tool. And, we had bears. Everybody had mostly shotguns and rifles. Everybody went hunting. I think the carelessness with which a lot of guns are stored and used and accessible, especially to kids, that's criminal and should, that needs to be punished more than it is. And I think there needs to be better training for it. We have the Second Amendment. It's not going away. We have 330 million guns in this country. Well, no one's coming for all your guns. Now, if you have 3 AR-15s, you want to sell 2 of them back to me being the government, to get them off the street, that's a different conversation.
It's an arbitrage issue.
I mean, listen, I agree with Morgan on some of this. I mean, we all know some people that have guns that probably shouldn't. I mean, I do.
Correct.
So yeah, do we want it stronger? The one thing I get frustrated with is all those talking points just now are focused on, I would say, our America, right? We're not talking about gangs in Chicago. We're not talking about all this craziness that happens down there. That's a problem. And Morgan, I'll fill you in. You don't know this. Like when I was a kid, my mom was shot multiple times in a drive-by shooting, once in the head, twice in her body, with an illegal gun from a person that shouldn't have been here. And she survived. But there's no law that would have stopped that shooting. There's no government buyback that would have stopped that shooting. Mm-hmm. None of that would have stopped it. So, it's a cultural thing, number one. So yes, but the big difference is we've seen since 1999 with Columbine is the school shooting stuff. That I agree. The mental health things with ARs and this and that. I mean, I am anti-gun on a lot of issues, and I'm pro-gun. I have an over-under, and I go shoot sporting clays all the time. I have fun. But does someone need something, some kind of arsenal? And I think you hit it on the head that people have to be responsible, not only for themselves, but for their kids. And if you have a gun safe at home and you don't store it properly and your kid breaks into it, you need to be responsible for that. So I think that makes sense.
We're still getting off the track here. This is about mental health. How do we increase the budget for mental health or deal with the stigmatism?
I'll tell you how you increase it, Pete. I mean, it's not a popular thing. There's many places across the state that are doing a mental health levy right now. It's going to start coming to Lake County. You're going to have an option to vote for it.
Yeah.
So do you want to add that as a tax line? Yes or no? I mean, so that's how you do it. People are investing in mental health. And as I think there should be there, but the problem is, how are the dollars spent?
Yep.
Right. Y'all know government is not efficient with dollars. That's the problem, right? I've never met someone in government, and this isn't offensive to you, Morgan, that's better at spending money than a private sector. I just haven't met anyone that's better at it. So it is these mental health levies that are coming across. What are they going to do with the money? And define mental health. Like define how to help it, define how to fix it.
Here, I'll define it for you, Jeff. When a single mom's got to take her kid to the ER because they're having an episode, whether it's autism or whatever, and there's nobody there to help them out, they got to go sit.
You don't have an episode with autism. I mean, but if you're talking about like an anxiety attack or something,
all of that. I'm specifically with kids because that's where the issue is. If you take a child into an ER with a mental issue, they're not equipped to deal with it because the budgets aren't there. So that's kind of where I'm getting to the Second Amendment.
An emergency room is meant to stabilize you, right? So if you're bleeding, they're meant to patch you up. They're really not meant to heal you, right? So that, and every hospital has mental health. So I don't know if that's actually the core issue. I think a lot of the core issue is kind of going back to the public schools. Is you can identify when someone's not right, whether it's in your personal life or at a school or something, whether it's a kid or an adult.
Well, they're turning the counselors into narcs.
But it's not just counseling. It's a way that's why it's such a big issue. If there was an easy fix to it, we'd all fix it.
Well, here, Morgan, I brought up those two issues. Do you have any others before Joe asks you about how you're different from Schneider? Because I didn't want to turn it again. I didn't want to turn it into your belief sucks, mine overtake your beliefs. I want to get something we can respond to.
Well, the mental health issue, that's near and dear to me. Mental health, and let's be honest, where we live, we have more access to all sorts of medical resources than a lot of people in this country do. We have, Northwestern, Rush, Chicago Medicine, Condell, there are doctors of all stripes everywhere. But even with that, my daughter had to have a minor surgery on her tonsils. Still had to wait like 10 weeks for that. And that particular crisis for mental health is even worse. If someone's, like you said, was having an episode and, you call up the local counselor or psychologist or psychiatrist, and they're like, yeah, we can get you in 10 weeks. That doesn't help, So I think, much more funding for healthcare, and that's actually one of my main platforms, and that's one of the places where I really, really differ from Brad.
Right. Well, I think that's a good tie-in then. So why don't you?
Nice segue. Huh?
Yeah, and just for the sake of our audience, again, you're running in the Democratic primary against Congressman Brad Schneider, and just for the record, Carl Lambrecht is the only person running in the Republican primary, so he will be the Republican nominee. But why did you decide to run against a sitting congressman in his own primary, in his own party? And what are the issues that differentiate you from Brad Schneider?
Well, during the 2024 election, I was phone banking, I was knocking doors in Wisconsin to get Harris elected. And I was utterly disgusted afterwards. Utterly disgusted with the fecklessness of the Democratic leadership, because most of my attitudes, lean towards the Democratic side of the aisle, and they've gotten even more liberal the older I've gotten. Because I've lived in other places in the world. I've seen what happens when a liberalism starts to take over. I don't have rose-colored glasses as to what our country is, but I'm a proud patriot. I quote the Constitution in my platform. This is, I am proud to be an American. And I think that what we have done, this country we have built, is always a work in progress, as envisioned in the Constitution. But I'm getting a little off track. So why am I different from Brad? Brad is, like the corporate dem out of central casting. He has not had to defend his record in a decade. He hasn't. He's been going up again when he's gotten to the general election. It's been a Republican that, the RNC has gone, please, 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 just someone put someone in there to make it look good. And Carl, what is he, 95? He lost to Bob Morgan in the Illinois House last year. I don't think he even has a website up yet. So, in reality, the choice, me or Brad. And it's two very different visions of what we want to accomplish. Brad is Mr. Status Quo. Don't rock the boat too much. Steady as she goes. But as we've seen, firstly with the Tea Party on the Republican side, and now this progressive wave that is building on the left, that people don't want just the status quo anymore. They want bold ideas. They don't want, chat GPT generated talking points that don't mean anything. When I first started talking to consultants about it, I'm like, these are the things that I want. They're like, well, don't say that. he could attack you on it. I'm like, let anyone attack me on it. No problem. Because, I'm not doing this for my health. I have my own small business as well. There are 7 members of my family who depend on me and my business. Most of my customer base throughout the U.S. Is very conservative. They import and distribute wood products, and some of them aren't particularly happy with my takes. No, I'm putting my money and my business where my mouth is, and that's not the sort of way that Brett Schneider could ever say that he's done with his in-laws' money the first time.
So Brad Schneider, most recently, I think, was in the news because he was one of the Democrats, few Democrats that crossed over to. Well, no, he didn't vote for the. He wasn't one of the Democrats that voted for the budget thing. That was Durbin. I'm sorry, but he has crossed over from time to time with Republicans on things. So I'm guessing that is an area that you have a bone of contention with. It seems to me there's, as you said, there's basically kind of just as there's 2 wings of the Republican Party, seems to be 2 wings of the Democratic Party. And it sounds to me like you're more of the support of similar in ideology to people like Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the new mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. So what is the thought process in that a moderate Democrat it should be replaced with someone like you? Why, if I'm a taxpayer, if I'm a citizen in the 10th district voting in the Democratic primary in March of next year, why should I pick you over Brad Schneider?
You should pick me because I actually have a vision going forward and I have plans to get there. Whereas Brad, his whole thing is, we have to just get to 218 in the House, and then, maybe we can do something. Until that, we're powerless. That's his attitude. If you look at his feeds, it's very educational as to what he thinks is going on, which is fine. But being a representative, it's your job to advocate and push, not just educate. I have specific policy issues that are very important to me. And, these are things that I am looking to push forward, and they're important to a lot of people in Lake County. We can go into the specifics if you want, but Brad, I've been knocking doors and making phone calls. Half the people I've spoken to didn't even really know he was a Democrat. He was just the name on the ballot that they knew, which tells you something. In terms of crossing over, there's bipartisanship is great, provided it means something. But Brad has taken some really, really stupid votes. On messaging bills that he shouldn't have.
Like, what are the stupid votes?
The whole condemning of socialism. I've got a whole list.
Wait, Schneider condemned socialism?
That's the vote. That was the vote I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Thank you. He crossed over and voted for a Republican resolution condemning socialism. I think he was one of 20.
Oh, I like Schneider now.
One of 20 Democrats on it. I mean, it's more of a symbolic resolution, but to your point, Morgan, I think that's certainly an area where it sounds like you and he disagree. It's a lot of people associate socialism with communism and the Soviet Union because it was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. But explain to us what you think are the differences and what would be good about socialism in the United States.
No, I'm talking about democratic socialism, which is an entirely different ballgame.
Wait, hold on.
When resolution.
Morgan, I said I was going to let you talk, but for the dummies out there like myself, can you explain the difference between socialism and democratic socialism? The dummy in me says the communism type socialism, the red stuff, that's where the governments own everything.
Mm-hmm.
The democratic socialism, you still own it, but you're getting taxed at 90%. Explain.
No, if you're thinking democratic socialism is Denmark and Sweden, whereas socialism / communism in U.S. parlance, that's the USSR, that is China. 30 years ago, they're more of a state-run capitalism now. Depending on what number you want to put on it, but that would be the big difference. The difference between Sweden and the Soviet Union. That's your difference.
What is the difference, though? I know they're two different areas, but like, what specifically is different?
Well, Sweden, there is booming private enterprise. I'm sure we've all been to IKEA. That's not state-owned. We at some point, well, Nokia's finished, but I'm sure at some point we all had a Nokia phone. I don't remember anybody ever purchasing a Soviet-made car, at least in this country. So, there's thriving private sector, but a robust social safety net, which this country is visibly lacking, and it's going to become a national security threat before too much longer.
So the difference between socialism and democratic socialism is, give me 2 sentences or I'm going to tune out, Morgan.
All right. Democratic socialism, the specter of what your rights are and what the government should be providing is wider than it is in pure capitalism, but it does not feature state control of private industry.
So I had it right the first time. Just the taxing percentage was off. Well, you still own the business. You just
the
tax a lot
taxing
more.
percentage, yeah, it's probably off.
Okay.
Correct.
So Morgan, you are in the corporate world. You own your own business right now. Do you have any salespeople that work for you? Do you pay is there a pay risk component or commission based pay for any of them?
It's a salary plus commission.
Now, why aren't they paid all salary?
They wanted some commission attached. They wanted some of their income at risk.
The more
not at risk, but
the more profitable they are, the more they want to get paid. Is that what the issue is?
Yes.
And is your business different from any other business in the 10th district?
Well, it's mine, so that makes it different. But
Morgan, what is your business?
I wouldn't
explain it a little more, just so people understand what your business is.
So I import and distribute wood products, primarily plywood and furniture, semi-finished furniture parts, for things like vanities and kitchen closets, kitchen cabinets, things like that.
So did President Trump's tariffs affect your
business? So I'm an importer and a distributor. Yeah, very poorly.
So how would you, if you're elected, would you support what's your take on tariffs? Because for years before Donald Trump emerged on the scene, it seemed like tariffs were more supported by unions and people like Bernie Sanders, and the Republicans were the free trade party, with people like George W. Bush and stuff. So what's your take on tariffs, and if we should have any, or what your difference would be from President Trump?
President Trump, I'm sorry, has no plan on tariffs. None. It's just, whatever his blood sugar says that morning, he gets up and does. If you were going to tariff something, let's pick an industry.
Plywood.
Well, let me back up. Plywood. Okay. So the sort of plywoods that I import are what are called hardwood plywoods. They are decorative. They are meant for floors and cabinets, etc.
Oak, maple.
There are several manufacturers. Well, primarily birch is what I'm doing, and birch faced stuff. But yes, it looks a lot like oak and maple. So not to get too far in the weeds on plywood, there are some U.S. manufacturers that can and do make these things. Obviously, they're more expensive. That's fine. The volume that is demanded for U.S. home building is 4x what these mills can produce, even if they wanted to. And they don't want to, because they want to, they want higher profit margins. So putting some of the, especially the timber tariffs, have been just astronomically stupid. No one is paying attention to what the effect it's going to have on builders. Building has slowed down. My customers have gone from planning, say, 6 to 8 months out down to 2 or 3, and sometimes even shorter time horizons. You can't turn tariffs on and off. And if you're gonna institute them, you have to identify what is the purpose. Is it to protect a local industry? Is it to generate revenue? Or is it to get a new industry that you want to develop off the ground? Those are the three things, and they're in conflict with each other. Because if you want to generate revenue, you're going to jack them through the roof, but either people learn to do without. They're not just going to start up a new factory just on a whim, because you can build the wall, but there's nothing behind it you haven't built the infrastructure to help support whatever industry it is. So you have to determine what is your goal of tariffs. For instance, an example, Trump put in the first go round tariffs on EVs from China. Biden continued it. It's still there. Here's part of the problem, is that the best EVs in the world are made in China. So this is protectionism. And in theory, it is supposed to give the US manufacturers and people building the infrastructure in the US time to catch up. Otherwise, it's just punitive. I don't know if you've ever ridden in one of these BYD electric vehicles in other parts of the world, but they're really nice. I mean, I'm personally not a huge EV fan, but these ones are pretty good. So tariffs are not one size fits all, and turning them on and off because you didn't have your snack that morning, businesses can't plan for that.
Well, here, Morgan, we're talking about inflow of revenue. So if you don't want the money to come in from tariffs, where is the money going to come from? Because are you for Mondami?
Oh, I think yes. No, he ran an excellent campaign. I think some of his ideas aren't going to work, but others
how are you different
great.
here? Instead of being different from Schneider, how are you different from Mondami? And that can form my way of thinking about you and asking you different questions. How are you different from the New York mayor-elect?
I'm much better looking.
Oh,
and
okay.
And I live here.
And you live here? That'll do it.
I'm a business person. I'm going to be I'm pretty pragmatic about a lot of things, but I am much more bullish on how things can be pushed.
Can you
without, I'm sorry.
No, I was asking if you could rap. I know he was rap.
Crap.
No, I cannot rap. I am not a good rapper.
I crap every Wednesday night.
I think the demographics of the 10th congressional district are a little different than New York City, so you're okay on that one.
Well, here's what I'm saying, Morgan. In the spirit of time and keeping listeners and viewers and giving both sides of the aisle their fair due, Mondami made all these promises, and now he's saying, "Oh, that money I said I didn't need, I need it now." And oh, by the way, we're going to tax the billionaires, all of which just left. And they're going to Florida or Texas. And last check, okay, this is all GPT facts, so you all can do your own fact checking. But there's zero billionaires in the 10th district, and there's under 20 billionaires in Illinois. So where's this money going to come from to pay for your stuff?
Well, which stuff are you referring to specifically?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If you're not like Mondami, he wants to do the free buses, the free this, because I think the healthcare would be the free part that's going to be the big matzo ball in the room of what you're. Because I just go to your website and I see your issues and I see 2 sentences and I don't see anything else. So to me, what I see is expense, expense, expense. What I'm trying to do is give you a platform to say, how are you comparing yourself against Mondami, who says he's going to tax these people who just left his state? The governor's not going to fund anything for him. How is that going to work in Illinois? And my choice against Schneider, I got Schneider, who's middle of the road, does nothing, spends more time in Israel than he does in the 10th district. Then I got you, masters in Russian, talk to me in Russian, selling me plywood. What are my choices there? How can I differentiate between the two with you? How are you going to pay for your programs?
The difference, what,
Well, I'm going to lower your health. I'll tell you how. I'm going to lower your healthcare costs, and your premiums aren't going to go to the coffers of Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana, and United. That's what I'm going to do.
What should be done? Should there be changes?
Hold on, Joe. What's he going to do? I want to hear it.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Should there be changes made to the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare?
No, it should be completely gotten rid of eventually.
And replaced
we
with
need
what?
Medicare for all.
So you support you say
Medicare for all.
So do you we should have the government pay for everyone's health care? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
And not even regardless of income.
Hold on.
All healthcare would be run by would be funded by the government.
Will our taxes go up on that?
Yeah, the taxes will go up, but your premiums will go down by more because there won't be any premiums. Yeah, your taxes would go up.
Do you have anything in writing somewhere that we can look at it to make an intelligent choice?
Well, I'd like to.
Well, hold on, Jeff. Hold on.
But it's about this issue.
Well, I just want to know, Morgan, do you have it written anywhere that I can go look at and verify?
What the cost structure?
Yeah.
It's not on my website, but if you want the math, we can do it. I can send it to you.
Yeah. I'll put it right here in the show. And if I don't get it, I'm going to put a question mark. Go ahead.
Because we have
Morgan, one thing I like.
I
think that a lot of people would support. I think, yeah, of course, I think everyone should have access to healthcare in some form. But a realistic approach is what if every county had 1, 2, 3 hospitals that were free for people to access, and at the same time still running a private network, so again, private school, public school, you want to pay that premium, you might have a premium doctor, hospital, etc., faster, less of a wait, but everyone has access to healthcare by more county hospitals. Would you ever consider supporting something like that?
No, I don't think it goes far enough for my tastes. I've lived in countries, I've been to countries where there's still private healthcare. If you want, nicer room, quicker service, whatever, that does exist. However, the baseline, up until I think the early 70s, healthcare companies were nonprofits. Now they're sucking us all dry. And they suck us all dry and then send that money to Brad so that he makes sure that they continue to suck us dry. To give you an example, I'm on the ACA. I'm a small business owner. For my family of 4, we don't qualify for tax credits because I'm a business owner. My per month premium is going up from $2,400 a month to $36,000 next year.
Yep.
Now, there weren't any subsidies for me ever. And now we're thinking, well, what are we going to do? $3,600 a month. That's outrageous. And that's all to our friends at Blue Cross, who then turn around and take my check and then send it to Brad. I think Brad's has any inclination to fix this? No,
Well,
none.
I think the
And he
system
never will.
broken, but I don't know if it's purely because of the cycle that you said, but the system's broken, right? I mean, it's like,
Should we give the money directly to
Mhm.
the end user, Morgan? Like we were talking about schools, give the parents the money for the school they want to pick to, and give the money to the health insurance you want to pick out.
No, I don't think we should have private health insurance. I think I think health insurance should be like a utility, highly regulated, and it's a right, that's on my post, the 21st Century Bill of Rights. This has crossed the line, honestly, from, oh, this is really expensive and it sucks. This is going to become a national security issue because with what's happened with the ACA and the fact that premiums are going to explode, people are going to go without, you're going to have more medical bankruptcies. My parents declared medical bankruptcy once, and the first time they had to declare bankruptcy was in part due to medical bills. So this one hits pretty close to home for me. And where I went to grad school in Middlebury, they had sort of a version of like a proto version of Romney Care or the ACA, but Vermont has 250 people in it, so it's administering it was quite a bit easier. But I ended up going to ER and I had a severely sprained ankle, and it cost me $20. And this was 20 years ago. But I don't think we seem to realize how the system's not broken. It's working exactly the way the people who are profiting from it want it to.
well,
Everything from the pharma companies.
yeah. I have another question for you. So I hear you on a lot of it.
Sure.
I think a lot of it's unrealistic. And I'm more of a type of person that would say, okay, how can we itch the needle closer? So you're a small business owner. I agree with you. It's hard to own a
Yep.
small business and offer competitive healthcare because the cost is so great. Where, Starbucks gives it away like candy because these multi-million and billion-dollar corporations, that's just a prerequisite that they have great healthcare to give to employees. Would you ever support industry group insurance? So, and there needs to be legislation behind this. So it'd be like you take the restaurant industry, for instance, right? Where all the restaurants could join one big group and then be able to purchase insurance and then offer that rate to employees. That would lower premiums drastically for a small business owner. Some people say 50 to 70%. Would you ever support legislation to allow small businesses to join together to get that?
I think there have been attempts at that. I'm going to admit I don't know why they haven't seemed to have worked. Maybe it's just kind of like herding cats,
Well,
depending
no,
on
it's the
who
same
it
reason
is.
you just
But
said.
that's,
Some lobbyists fought it.
Young people don't go to
I
the
got it.
doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, some
But I thought
lobbyists
there
didn't want it because the Blue Cross would make less profits if they charge all these companies less. I mean that part's a given. I mean, but I think that's a realistic approach to maintain private health insurance to lower premiums. That way, all employees, anyone that's employed, would have access to affordable health insurance through their employer because the employer. I don't know how many employees you have, but if you gave them off, you might already, but I guarantee you there's a lot of small businesses that can't offer full benefits because it would just put them out of business tomorrow. So
I'm still stuck
and
on
that goes to my next question. Why?
Morgan. We're getting towards the end of the show, so I'm going to kind of nudge things along here. I'm
Sure.
again, I have Schneider, I got Mondami, and I got Morgan. And what I'm trying to do is I'm looking at Mondami, and I just did some back of the envelope GPT math that if Morgan wanted to copy all of Mondami's policies here in the 10th district, and there are no fact checkers here, okay, you guys can fact check in the comments all you want. 750,000 or so people in the 10th district. And if we want to do everything Mondami wants to do, every person in the 10th district would have to pay up an extra 25 grand a year to get all that stuff done. Don't know if that's right or it's wrong, but is there anything anywhere that you're going to send me, Morgan, that says the stuff that you want to do, fine, raise taxes, great, then show me how much of my taxes going up and what am I saving in the long run?
Well, like you said, no fact checks, but I never said I
Yeah.
want to do everything Mamdani wants to do. So that's a
Right,
bit
right.
of false equivalence. However,
I have nothing else to compare you against.
yeah, we're talking specific.
Yeah.
I think you got to compare me against Brad. I think Mamdani, he's different. He is an administrator running a city. I am looking to be the representative for the 10th district on a national level, which brings with it different responsibilities as well as, different pluses and minuses of that.
You both
the
want to
mayor's
spend
job
money
is
and
to
you
make sure
don't
this
have
is run on time, garbage is picked up.
You both want to spend money, but you don't have the money.
That,
That's
well,
what I'm trying to make the delineation.
No, well, we can get the money. That's the thing. It takes political will to do so. And standing up to people, I don't take money from corporations. I don't take money from APAC. I can tell them to, go jump in a lake.
You're going to take it from
And they
the
don't
middle
like
class then.
Brad can't do that.
Wait, Morgan,
No, I'm
let's
talking about
look
for
at a
my
specific
campaign.
to put it into a specific policy perspective. What is wrong with the current U.S. federal tax structure, and what would you do to change it?
First of all, the top marginal tax rate, I believe, is at 39.7. Does that sound right? It should be upwards of 60. The period you were talking about earlier, late 60s, early 70s, marginal tax rate was a lot higher. That's number one.
What does that do to your business?
The child tax credit. No, I'd probably pay more taxes.
Would you be able to stay in business?
Yeah, I would.
So 40%, how much more would your taxes go up?
Yeah.
So 40% increase in your taxes and you can stay in business?
My taxes.
A lot of margin in wood.
Not as much as you think, but remember, it is a progressive tax. It's not, from, right now, after X number of dollars, you're paying, 60% on every dollar above that. It's not from $0 to $infinity.
Right,
that's how the tax brackets work.
But that percentage above the
zero
number, does that fund what you want to do is my point. Because when I'm looking at the math and people leaving, I see a shortfall and I see our deficit going even larger. And I'm trying to have you talk me out of that.
Where are they going?
Texas, Florida.
So Morgan, let me take it back to the tax rate. So you think taxes should be higher for the upper bracket. What do you think about the tax rates for other? Are there any areas where you would lower taxes, or would everyone pay at least the same amount of taxes they do now? Would you lower it for any other income level?
I think anyone making under $80,000 a year, and I can be pushed a little bit one way or the other on the, on the number, what the actual number is, but federally, basically, right now, I think it's, if you make under 36,000, you're not paying anything. I think that number should be closer to 80. It probably wouldn't be that high. Local taxes are a different ballgame. But for lower income people, they're paying a lot. If you look at all of the taxes you pay on a daily or monthly basis, you've got federal income, FICA taxes, state income taxes, sales taxes of various forms. A larger percentage of lower income people's income is going to those consumption taxes. That's why when I see sales taxes being raised, on, in either Cook County or Lake County or Illinois, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's not great because it's a regressive tax. So this should be lower. Yeah, the minimum deduction should be higher. That's what I'm getting at.
I threw out two names, Mondami, and I threw out Schneider. How about a third one, Johnson, the mayor of Chicago? Do you agree with anything that he's doing? Is that kind of the? I know he's not very favorable, but I'm just trying to compare you to something that I can say, oh, that's working or it's not working. Would you compare yourself to Mayor Johnson in Chicago?
No, I don't. No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention.
Would it be fair to compare you to, say, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a member of the House of Representatives that you're running for?
Yeah, that would be fair.
Okay. Is she endorsing you, or is Bernie Sanders endorsing you? Is any of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party or the Democratic Socialist wing of the Democratic Party? Any names you can throw out there of who's endorsing you?
No, not yet. Generally, they don't endorse challengers to incumbents, even if they're not aligned with them on everything.
I mean, she challenged an incumbent in New York City. She challenged the sitting Democrat, who was probably more like Brad Schneider, as I recall, in New York City, and beat him in the Democratic primary.
And he outraised her like 24-1, and she beat him by 15 points. So,
Joe and Morgan, help me out, because I'm still lost and we're getting at the end of the show and I'm still trying to understand this stuff. The AOC, the far left, is that what the new Democrats are now? Because everybody else is kind of tuned out. Is that why you're going to the socialism side? Like, why is it being popular? To me, the conservative in me says nobody wants to work anymore.
That's nonsense.
Go ahead.
That is utter nonsense.
Poke holes in it. Go.
I mean, that's every generation has always said, well, nobody wants to work anymore. Going back to my dad said it about me, his dad said it about him. That's nothing new. Nobody wants to work anymore. That's not true. Kids who are in their 20s, the stereotype, and all they do is vape and play video games. A lot of these guys have 2 or 3 gig jobs. I work 2 jobs. I was driving for Uber and Lyft in addition to a full-time job. It's that the social contract between employer and employee has changed drastically over the past 20, 25 years. The thought that nobody wants to work anymore, I don't think that's been borne out. I understand the attitude about it. I mean, I've had a couple of employees that I had to let go because, looking back on it, it was my fault. I didn't put them in a position to succeed. Are there whiners and complainers and idiots in every generation? Yeah. But to say that nobody wants to work anymore, no, I don't think that's true, even a little bit. People don't want to be exploited anymore. Walgreens, just the other day, the week before Thanksgiving, they said, oh, by the way, we're not paying holiday pay anymore. Just FYI, this is just before
Walgreens isn't in good shape. They did everything for everybody.
No, they're not.
They're not in good shape right now, unfortunately. Morgan, what did we give you a fair shake? I know we're getting towards the end and I'm kind of giving you the conservative stuff at the end, like I told you, but is there anything else you want to bring up? And maybe we can continue it in the comments section, going forward this debate.
Sure.
What do you think are the common things that Pete Jansons could vote for Morgan for on? What issues?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I just want to know, I'm trying to connect with you, Morgan. What can we have a meeting of the minds on, in your opinion? I gave you what I thought doing my research on you. What do you think, hearing what we've talked about for an hour, because that's all that we had, What can we connect on to separate you from Brad Schneider and say, yeah, I agree with Morgan?
We should not be funding the IDF to bomb Gaza. No,
So you're outside the tent. Hold
dollars.
on. I'm mad at Schneider because he's spending time outside the tent. That's the first thing you're going to tell me, Pete Jansons, because I just checked out.
Yes, he spends a lot of his time in Israel. He's taken over $1 million from AIPAC, and he has done nothing to help bring to a close, this horrible invasion of Gaza. He's done nothing. If anything, he's just cranked it up, and we continue to funnel money and bombs to a regime that shouldn't be getting that money from us. And there's a massive blowback against AIPAC. Why aren't they a foreign agent? Why aren't they registered as such? And the reasons that I'm not taking money from them. I mean, all politicians, I think we can agree on this. All politicians are bought. All of us. No matter who we are, we're bought. The question is, who's the buyer? Is Pete Jansons the buyer? Are your viewers the buyer? Or are Raytheon and Northrop Grumman the buyer? And CityCard and Discover and Blue Cross Blue Shield? I think that's where we can connect. Who's bought your politician? And would you like to get a drink with the person who bought your politician?
Morgan, what do you I don't want to debate you on the Israel issue because obviously we have a difference of opinion, but the 10th district has the largest Jewish population in Illinois and is one of the top 5 districts in the nation with a Jewish, in terms of number of percentage of Jewish population. How can you say to the large Jewish community in the 10th district that your views regarding Israel are not anti-Semitic?
I get that question a lot. And, I call around the 10th district. I do events in Highland Park and Deerfield. I think that assuming that the Jewish population of the 10th is a monolith about this, and I've been called, in my call time, I've been called anti-Semitic twice. That's it. I was expecting more. I sort of girded myself that
we'll work on it.
That this was going to happen a lot more. I was just like, hey, I need to prepare answers for this. But I'm not anti-Semitic, and I never have been. And conflating being anti-Netanyahu government and anti-Semitism, it's just simply not true. They are two entirely different things.
What's your reaction to what happened on October 7th, 2023?
Oh, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And the people who did it should be held to account. And they should have gone in and got them and taken them to trial or whatever else was done with them. However, you don't level the entire country to do that. You don't kill and starve women and children because of what happened. And let's be quite honest, the October was the intelligence failure probably in the history of humanity. How did they not? What happened? How did not see it coming?
So the argument then is that Hamas used the Palestinian civilians as shields, so that what happened would occur. What do you think the role should be for Hamas? And I'll tell you from the conservative perspective, where a lot of conservative Jews disagree with Brad Schneider, I believe Brad Schneider supports the two-state Palestinians making Palestine a nation, and I'm going to guess you do as well. But how do we prevent future things like this, because it seems like there's always these random attacks on Israeli citizens that are backed by groups like Hamas and Al Qaeda and ISIS and perhaps the Iranian government. I shouldn't say perhaps, and the Iranian government. How do you prevent that? Because that's what caused that war, was a reaction to that. No different than Pearl Harbor caused World War II, or at least the U.S. entry into World War II.
No, if it was easy, I would have had it solved. I would have been a billionaire by now. But
yeah, let's stay in the 10th district.
Israel has three. Do you want to take this back to how it affects people in the 10th?
Yeah, please.
In terms of the Jewish population in the 10th, there is a large portion of it who is utterly disgusted with the behavior of the Israeli government. And probably about 30 to 40% of my donors within the district are Jewish. Saying that, just because Hamas did this means Israel can do that, that isn't working anymore.
So are there more
Israel
Jewish
wants to have.
Are there more Jewish voters in the 10th than any other voters?
No, I'm sure different parts of Christianity are still bigger, but there's a large portion, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess there's a higher proportion of donors that are Jewish, right? I'm just trying to keep it in the 10th and
yeah, no, that's fine.
And we're getting in the weeds, and we're at the end of the show. We got Jeff split, man. It's Irish goodbye.
I want to ask Morgan this question, changing gears though, because it is something that is probably going to come up.
I'm still here. Keep going.
In the next Congress, Morgan, and that is the House of Representatives has the right under the Constitution, as they've done twice with him already. Would you vote to impeach Donald Trump?
Oh yeah, I would.
What would be the actions taken that he's taken since his inauguration in January? What actions do you feel merit him being impeached?
The blatant corruption. He launched this stable coin. He's taking bribes from foreign officials. That's the emoluments clause right there. That Qatari jet. I mean, come on. The fact that I believe it was Qatar is using the Trump coin or it was UAE is using $2 billion of Trump coin to finance some sort of investment. I mean, it is corruption on a scale that doesn't exist, that has never existed in this country. That's just for starters. Not to mention the utter abuses that ICE has foisted upon us. I have a 13-year-old daughter who is the daughter of an immigrant. Am I supposed to tell her that if a masked man jumps out of a van with no ID, that she's supposed to get in it with him? I mean, what?
I turn off the camera and you
we
ask
basically
a Trump
have
question?
secret police running around.
Are we getting into Trump now?
Well, no, I'm just and how does your view on that differ from Schneider's?
Oh, well, Schneider, well, first of all, thank ICE for their service. He gets suckered into these stupid gotcha votes from, because they might message well. And it's a question of judgment, and his judgment is lacking. He's already voted to thank ICE. He went to the naval station once. He was turned away and never went back. They were using the naval station as a base to invade Chicago and to terrorize our neighbors. Okay, and this is depending on no matter what your attitudes about immigration are.
Illegal
and they can be varied
legal.
and they can be more nuanced.
People in the country illegally is what we're talking about.
If you go 55 to 35, that is a greater criminal offense than crossing the border illegally.
That's not
by
the question.
law.
It's legal and
that's
illegal. They're both illegal acts.
All right, so fair enough. But you should not be sending identified goons.
Well, here, Morgan, are you for first hold
dragging
on.
people into
Now you're getting me fired up, Morgan. You can peace out anytime you want to. What? Did he leave?
Well, he had a bad internet connection the whole shit. Oh,
no,
here we go. Here
he's back. He's back. I thought I chased you off already.
Did
Morgan.
we run out of?
No, I'm here.
Did
all
we run
day,
out
man.
of like free time?
No, I'm here all
Okay.
day. This is a conservative show. We pay our bills.
Pete pays the full amount to Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I think your bandwidth is a little slow. Maybe the first thing you might want to.
I think you have the socialist internet there.
Yeah.
You have to climb the pole to
Maybe
get it to
that.
work.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me. Might be.
All right.
That might be
Question.
better.
Are you for first responders? I would assume so, Morgan.
Of course I am.
Okay. So basically people that are willing to put their butt on the line for you because you don't, or I don't have the want or courage to be able to do it myself. So anybody that's willing to do that, I'm for. These immigration officers that are going out there that are supposed to be executing the law, people like you are going on Twitter saying, hey, here's where the ICE people are. Here's, watch out, pointing them out. How do you justify that?
They're not first responders. They are thugs who are cosplaying cops. They are not first responders. It is nonsense. You know when the last time an ICE officer was killed on duty was March 11th of 2005. These are not first responders.
What do you think, though? What should there be changes to the immigration law? Do you think we should? What bills aside? Obviously, you've made it clear you oppose what the president is doing with the ICE enforcement. But and there's been all this talk about immigration reform and stuff. What legislation would you support to change the laws from the way they are now? Because we can debate all day. People are saying it's a law, it's illegal. How do we handle the influx of people into the United States?
First of all, we have to triple the number of immigration judges. We can't let people, for our own sake and for their sake, languish in these in-between statuses for years. They need to be moved through the system more quickly. They need to be adjudicated better. Border security is part of it. There was the bipartisan bill that was coming up right before the election. There was some stuff in there I wasn't super excited about, like drone surveillance, but I was looking at it, I'm like, you know what? People of good conscience came together and they came to a compromise. And it had a lot, everybody could win something out of it. And Trump killed it because he wanted to run on it. He wanted the problem. He wanted the scandal. He didn't want the solution.
Can both of you explain to me, is this what the issue is? Because this is what I think it is, and tell me if I'm right or wrong. And then Morgan, like I said, I'm here all day. We can do this all day. But the population in the United States is going down, not going up. So we need more voters. And the Democrats, it seems to me that, at least in Illinois, that Democrat is more than a political identity. It's your employment. So you are incented to vote for the Democrats. But if you bring in 20 million people undocumented and you give them money, you're kind of like saying, hey, these are going to be my voters of the future. Is that what the Democrats were trying to do? That's what I think. Why did we let the 20 million insert number in amount of people in? Because if you let them all in, you didn't let them in using a court, but you got to get them out using a court. Something doesn't seem right there. Am I looking at that right, Joe Morgan, on the issue?
I'll let Morgan's the guest. He's the candidate.
Go
I'll let
ahead.
him answer.
Well, okay, you let 20 million people in.
Yeah.
They're all, what percentage of those 20 million would you say are working?
If we're doing back of the math stuff, I want to go 30,000 feet and just work on the numbers. It is that the strategy or not, to let in people that will vote for you in the future? Or why did we let all these people in at once? No, okay.
Because the employers needed cheap labor. That's why. When times are good and you need more labor, things would loosen up, whether that was under Obama, under Trump the first time. When things tighten up, when the economy gets worse, things tighten back up. And it's been that way for what, 40 years, even more? But the Democratic Party can't plan, like a bachelor party at an Irish bar. The fact that to think that they'd be able to plan 30 years ahead of time to manufacture voters is also not, it belies belief. And here's why I say that.
Yeah.
Because my wife is an immigrant. I've been through the immigration process. We have known people whose statuses have been less than 100% above board and who managed to change it, some of whom also haven't. To say that they have a propensity to vote for Democrats would probably be inaccurate, if they were to be legalized. That is a popular talking point, but people who've come here, come over the border, didn't check in, to say that they're this monolith is it's a bit too simplistic of thinking. And the thought
hold on, what does monolith mean, by the way?
Meaning they all think the same. They're
Okay.
they all have the same attitudes about everything.
Okay.
So so from that point of view, there are too many different types of people from too many different types of places. And to think that they're gonna all just in lockstep vote for Democrats and the Democrats are counting on that.
The other thing
Democrats
that
too much credit.
Okay. That's what's in my mind. That's what I heard at the bar. Second thing is, you let in 20 million people. That means it's more people that are looking for rent, that people that actually live here can't find a place to live and the rents go up. And there's more people here with government money. That means they're, the SNAPs and all that. I forgot what the percentage of Walmart shoppers have SNAP, but you're giving them all this free stuff. Isn't that playing a part in inflation?
No.
Okay.
Not even a little bit.
Okay.
Playing a part in inflation is the fact that Walmart, they clear something like 58 billion in net profit last year, but don't pay their own employees enough to not be on SNAP. That's bad. Why should they be doing that? That's a problem. And the thought that there's all of these illegals and undocumented folks getting all of these benefits is also, it's either wildly overblown or just plain false. I know lots of immigrants. I help them go through the paperwork to apply for SNAP or Social Security or SSI. The thought that, this is bankrupting us, or these people aren't living 7-8 people to a house or an apartment, and that they're driving up the cost of rent in Lake Forest or even Mundelein for that matter, is not, I don't think it's founded.
I think we got a supply demand scarcity issue. We need to take an economics class, you and me, Morgan. Yeah. I think. Joe, what else?
I just I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and admire your tenacity to step up and run for office. Anybody that does
insanity,
that,
I say,
and give up all this time away from your family and your business and all that. I'm just curious, and I'm sure Pete will put the link up to your website, and you're on social media as well. Is there any upcoming events that you will be debating or a candidates forum with Brad Schneider so people could see the two of you side by side?
I hope so. Brad
Schneider
has
won't
not.
do it.
No, not yet. Not yet, anyway.
Well, we would. I think I speak for Pete that we would be happy to host the two of you together on the show. He's been on the show, and now you've been on the show. Why not have the two of you on the show together?
Schneider's too busy on
Yeah,
Israel.
I would.
Sorry,
Or,
Morgan.
getting new drapes or something. I would, in whichever number he's on. But there's going to be a candidate forum in Vernon Hills. Put on. I'll send you the link. But I'll be there along with several folks from the 9th, including Bushra and Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, one of the Senate candidates, Kevin Ryan, Junaid Ahmed from the 8th, Holly Kim, who's here, who's from, she's running for comptroller. So it's going to be quite the mishmash. I'll send you the link for it. That's coming up December 14th. Brad, I don't know if Brad accepted an invitation to go.
Why would he? Right? He's got $1 million in the bank. You got zero.
I want to say thank you for.
We got to get you some money, Morgan.
Yeah.
How do people donate to you, man?
Or
you're Mondami. You don't need the money till you get elected.
No, I need the money.
Okay.
You don't need as much as what he has in the bank, but if you go to my website, coghillforcongress.com, there's a donate button.
Okay.
On there, and that'll, you can max out at $3,500, which that doesn't happen to me a lot, but that's one of the reasons I'm doing it. I'm running a grassroots campaign. My family has been pretty supportive, despite the fact my wife is from a totalitarian regime where her best friend's husband was in jail for 18 months because he had a Ukrainian flag on his Facebook avatar. And so when she learned that I was doing this, it was, wow.
This is in Russia?
It was difficult. She's from Belarus.
Oh, Belarus, which is basically, they're basically a suburb of Russia. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like I said, they're even worse.
How do you say Putin is crazy in Russian?
Putin huilo. That's actually a bit worse than say Putin is crazy. You just want to say Putin is crazy. You say Putin sumасшедший.
How about this one, Morgan?
That's the literal translation.
Doreve no provie. Did I say that right?
No, that sounds more like Polish.
How do you say it?
What was the line? I don't know if you remember, Morgan, when Reagan and Gorbachev met, that he kept trust but verify. How do you say trust but verify in Russian?
Yeah. Дай проверяй. Because I think Gorbachev
say one more time.
said it as well.
You chopped up. Say it one more time.
Доверяй, но проверяй.
Well, that was probably what Ronald Reagan was
That's
trying
what
to
I
say.
said. Doreve no provie with a Chicago accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yes, you did. Sorry.
No problem.
Sorry.
We're speaking Russian to you, Morgan, not at you. Morgan Coghill running for 10th District Congress. Joe Weiss, Jeff Urso, another great episode of Lake Forest Podcast. All of our fact checkers are going to love this one.
Yep.
Good luck, Morgan.
Have at it,
Morgan,
man.
thank you, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, I'm going to put this up unedited. Do you care?
No. Like I said, I'm not afraid of what I stand for. You don't, whatever you need to do, I'm happy to have it up there.
I'm not afraid either. So I'm going to put it up, and because we try to get people from the left on here, even though I got American flag behind me. We open books here. Open books.
No,
And
like I said, I'm a patriot through and through.
All right.
I just have a different vision of.
Send me that Patriot spreadsheet of how you're going to pay for stuff. Seriously, I'll put that up right in the middle of the show, Morgan.
All right, we'll do.
All right.
Thanks, Morgan.
Take care, Morgan. Bye-bye.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parnell has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.